I'm feeling good, man. It's the weekend. Obviously, big game tonight here in New York. You can feel the energy sort of shift in the city from game one to game two, from excitement and euphoria to like cautious optimism and just like, all right, that was crazy, but you know what? Like, we still believe in the squad, still believe in the team. It's been raining here the past couple of days, so it's kind of tempered down like the outsideness of everybody that I think we got in the first two rounds. So just to give you a little vibe check of what it's like out here in the New York, New Jersey area before the big game two tonight in the Garden. But doing all right. 7 p.m. in Brooklyn is doing his thing, and I think I'm very confident in my Knicks tonight to even up the series, despite how heartbreaking the way that game ended.
Yeah, we back. We definitely about to get into the Knicks. I wanted to ask you first because I know when you were on here last time, you said you had a big move coming, and we didn't know that it was going to be this. So you've been doing this for probably 6-8 months now. I'll probably say maybe
Yeah.
longer. Just tell me, how's the experience been? You know what I'm saying? Because to have a guy like Carmelo Anthony, and also big shout out to Mero, Rudy Gay, everybody, Monica McNutt that you guys have on the show. I think it's a real nice balanced crew that you guys got. Just tell me how the whole experience has been, especially you've been a lifelong Knicks fan and being able to do this show with Melo.
Man, personally speaking, I always tell people I got to pinch myself every episode that I can't believe I'm sitting in between these conversations of athletes that I've followed most of my adult life, right? Like Carmelo Anthony is no secret how big of a fan I am of the Knicks, and Melo is a big part of that. And even before that, I was, I think, a freshman. No, I was a sophomore in high school during Melo's freshman run at Syracuse, right? So it was like really growing up and watching this guy's career. And now, of all years, to join the podcast, it would have been incredible to be part of the podcast at any point in time in my life or career. But it's the year that he's going into the Hall of Fame, and his son is joining the Syracuse Orange, and it's never lost on me how fortunate I am to be a part of the show. The guys who put it together, TD, EJ Wright, Pierce Simpson, a bunch of the dudes behind the scenes that don't get all the name recognition as the superstars that are the co-hosts. But they do such an incredible job putting that show together. And obviously, it's all led by Melo's demeanor and Melo's openness to talk about everything and just be a great podcast host. You know what I mean? Like, I think as great as Rudy, Monica, and Mero and myself are, this thing doesn't go as far without the type of personality Melo is. And I'm glad everybody's starting to see that as the weeks go by, because I think of a lot of the athletes that we grew up watching, he gets probably one of the worst raps I've seen, just as far as like the type of person he was, what he stood for. So being able to hear his take, unfiltered or not, you could agree with it or not, it's him at the end of the day. And I'm just real fortunate to be sort of one of the vessels to help tell so many of his incredible Hall of Fame stories.
Yeah, definitely. I think was the best about it. You can just tell that Melo, that's just his personality. Is real calm and cool. I met Melo like when I was covering the Clippers. He was on the Lakers. Like, it wasn't like a big conversation. I was like, "Oh shit, it's coming up." They're like, "What up?" And he said, "I had to be back." But I've been on a Melo front line since he got robbed Rookie of the Year. I've been on the front lines saying that, man. But let's get to the Knicks. We've been hating on this show. I'm just gonna keep it real. We are jealous Chicago sports fans. We have been hating on this show. I see.
It's why I came extra New York adjacent today too. I was like, I gotta make sure they know exactly who's called in today.
Yeah, like I've been watching Last Dance again. Like, please, I had a good childhood. I want it again, but our ownership don't care. But what has it been like watching this run? I think when you guys got Karl Anthony Towns at the beginning of the year, I know we said on this show that this is a team that could go to the finals, but the regular season was a little rocky to the point where I was like, I don't know. Detroit, we did a whole thing about Detroit and their crowds that Knicks fans were not happy about in my TikTok mentions. That we were like, oh, I think it's going to be a pretty, which it was a long series, but how you appreciating this run? Where to the fact where there's no LeBron in your way, there's no Jokic, there's no like real big three. Took out the Celtics. Just how's this run been for you?
It feels great, honestly. I mean, we've known each other for a long time, Scott and JR, and I think either through personal interactions or just on social media how hard it's been being a Knicks fan for the past couple of decades, right? But
Definitely.
this year, I'll tell you, man, like this is gonna sound a little arrogant or a lot of chest puffing or whatever, but if you're asking me at the point of that trade, would you be surprised that the Knicks are in the Eastern Conference Finals? I would say no. I said once they made that trade for Karl Anthony Towns and locked in with OG, because there was still some trepidation about him, returning to the team, how much he was going to be worth, and of course, if he was going to stay healthy. But if you would have told me in the beginning of the year you're going to sign Karl Anthony Towns, OG's going to play, have a pretty healthy season, and he got another year of Jalen Brunson, I'm like, they should be in the conference finals. Now, the regular season, it's why all those Celtics and Cavs games are so frustrating, right? Because you put a team together legitimately to beat these teams. I'm not so much Cleveland because I think they surprised people a little bit as far as being like the top team in the Eastern Conference, but definitely the Celtics. You put a team like the Knicks together specifically to beat them, especially when you get Karl Anthony Towns to go up against a guy like Kristaps Porzingis and, of course, the wings to match Brown and Tatum. So every one of those regular season games hurt like hell, but by the third and fourth ones, it felt very much like that Giant season against the New England Patriots. So the Patriots was undefeated and they was getting dog walked by the Patriots every single week. But that last week 17 game against the Giants, they showed that like, they bleed, right? And that's kind of the same thing that the Knicks did in the last regular season game against the Celtics. They took them to overtime and basically showed like, these guys bleed. And I think as it came out in the playoffs and as the matchups happened, obviously you got to be fortunate with the way that things went and the way the ball bounced in the first two games, but you couldn't, I'm not terribly surprised that the New York Knicks are where they are right now. They've been building towards this since 2019, since really when Julius Randle came to the franchise, and they started to really have a sustained amount of playoff success that you kind of see from the contending teams. Knock on the door a little bit, and then eventually the door sort of knocks down. So obviously getting out of the second round was a big thing with the Knicks, and I felt like once they got past that and you look up and you don't see any real juggernauts left except over in the Western Conference, you feel really good about it. So I'm enjoying it, and more than enjoying it, knowing that this is the first year of this crew and this core, that they're going to get multiple cracks at it with this nucleus. And, unfortunately, the Jason Tatum injury really opens up the Eastern Conference next year as well. So not only am I enjoying this run, but it makes me feel like, all right, if God forbid they don't get it this year, you think within the next 3 or 4, they're taking one of them, especially when you got Jalen Brunson running point, Karl Anthony Towns playing the way he is, and just the overall rise of that team. So I couldn't be happier and prouder of those guys, man. It's so much fun to watch.
Definitely, man. Let's talk about game 2, man. Game 1, you guys got another villain here, man, and Tyrese Halliburton. As soon as I saw this picture right here, I was like, he's thirsty. Like, I knew exactly. Like, I fell asleep. I fell asleep. I just came back from doing OTAs for the Bears. Football season started, and I was all, the Knicks got this. Stay up like 20. I'm going to sleep. So I woke up and I was like, I know they don't say it's a tie game. So for him to come back, I immediately knew his foot was on the line. So I was like, I don't know, he's doing too much. But that was it was one of those games where I feel like the Knicks played a really good game up into that 4-minute span. Is there any nightmares about, like, I feel like this Pacers-Knicks rivalry has been going on for 30 years. Last time you guys were in the conference finals was against this team, and then last year having that long 7-game semifinal series. What's it been like going against this guy, Tyrese Halliburton, and he's kind of giving Knicks fans some reminders of a former Pacer and Reggie Miller?
All I can say is a worthy adversary. That's a worthy adversary right there, Tyrese Halliburton. I can't even there's like an inherent hate for Trae Young, right? Like, I think it's the hair. I don't know what it is about Trae, but he's just very unlikable. And I think it's more than Knicks fans at this point, right? Like, he doesn't really get voted into All-Star games, doesn't really get voted into like player games. So like, it's not just us, right? Like, but Halliburton, I kind of have more respect for him as a Knicks villain just because of the way he sort of carries himself, the way he plays the game. Lowest the key is like even his story, where it's basically like folks saying he's the most overrated player in the league, and the run he's going on now, and just the style of play of the Indiana Pacers, I gotta respect, right? Like, take away the way the game ended. That's a great game of basketball that we're watching. Like, it's back and forth, great shot making, like ethical hoops. You talk about ethical hoops over here. I don't mind losing to a team due to ethical hooping, right? The reason why I didn't like the Celtics and didn't like the Pistons, because it wasn't like they're trying to beat the Knicks. It was trying to game the system, like hack a Mitch and just doing all these weird things with Brunson and just the weird sort of like tricks of the trade that shows you can't out talent them. The Pacers have shown that they can out talent you, and Tyrese Halliburton, the way he carries himself. And even honestly, I wasn't even mad at the choke. I'm like, yo, you hit a shot like that, you come back that from a lead that big, and you get the basketball guys that shot upon you that day to drop the ball right over the back rim like that after such a miss. You can do whatever you want. So all that being said, I'm glad it was game 1 and not like game 5 or something. If it was like game 5 or 6, I'd be sick to my stomach. I'd be like, there's no way they can mentally come back from this. But the one strength of this Knicks team is that they have mentally bounced back from so many gut-wrenching losses over the season, and even in these playoffs, that, you know, you have faith that they'll at least bounce back and get the split tonight. Having Jalen Brunson on your team, if you roll the ball out and tell me the odds and say, yo, you're going to be up 14 points with 3 minutes left, and Jalen Brunson has the ball, I'm taking those odds again every single time. Like, I don't expect Jalen Brunson to have another 7 turnover game. I don't expect Jalen Brunson to have another 5 fouls game. As long as that dude is on the court and the Knicks have a lead, and Jalen Brunson doesn't have to lay defenses just to avoid getting his 6th foul and all that stuff, and just seeing how careful he's been with the ball. He's the clutch player of the year, not just because he makes big shots in crunch time, but he almost never makes a mistake with the ball in the 4th quarter. So all that being said, if it took a miracle bounce with a foot on the line and Aaron Nesmith shooting for the game of his life in overtime to take a L, that's the type of L you take. You still go into the game too confident, and I'm confident that the Knicks feel the same way. So we'll see how it goes, man. It's going to be a long series.
So it's going to be a long series, and this one, as I'm calling the YNECF, the Young Nigga Eastern Conference Finals, the Young Nigga Conference Finals. But what are you? Where are you as a Knicks fan feeling about the finals? Like, if you had to put a percentage on it, now that y'all in the Final Four, what percentage number would you put on your Knicks finally doing something that they have not done since any of us has been alive or even thought about?
Now, you talk about getting to the finals or winning the NBA championship?
No, winning it. I want to know how you feel about the chances of winning it.
I'll go on the safe side and say right now the Knicks have about I give them a 30% chance of winning it all. Right?
Are we gonna Steiner math it?
I'm a Steiner math it. They got 30% chance of winning at the conference finals, because you bring in the Minnesota Timberwolves and you love Anthony Edwards, but you slice his chances in half because they went down 2, and then you add the Oklahoma City Thunder to the mix. That gives the Knicks a 33rd or the 3rd chance, and you know what I mean. The Minnesota Timberwolves have a 7.13% chance of winning.
Got the full math.
Oklahoma City Thunder, the Indiana Pacers, the way they go. Nah, but I'll say this, man. The Knicks, I do think right now, have the best shot at winning an NBA championship than they have in my entire adult life. I think they have the health, which is big. They have the coaching. They have the guard, the temperament of the team to do it. And outside of, I don't see any team that the Knicks should fear left in the NBA, whether it's the Timberwolves or the Thunder. Now, the Thunder have looked unbelievable in the Western Conference Finals, but at the end of the day, they did what they had to do. They won 2 home games at their home court. We'll see what Minnesota does, but just judging from that, they look like a steamroller right now. Like, Indiana or New York comes out, they're gonna have a tough time against the Oklahoma City Thunder. But I say it to say this New York Knicks team is so mentally strong, mentally tough, has been through the ringer. And on top of that, I think one thing that we're really not, paying much attention to or really giving great credence to is how great of a road team the New York Knicks are. They go on the road and perform just as well as any team out there. And even in these playoffs, all of their huge wins this postseason have been on the road. So dropping game one doesn't necessarily shake my entire faith that the Knicks can get to the conference finals and possibly win it. To the NBA finals to possibly win it. But I do think it's going to be – I keep it tall, man. I kind of think there's a little something to being away from the Garden and just hooping, because it does become a lot here. I'm not going to hold you. Like, as the show says, like, it does become a lot here. Like, it is – you got Chalamet over here. You got Ben Stiller over there. You got every rapper. You got every football player – on both teams, and they're not even in the good seats. Like, this is just to get into the joy. You got presidents coming through. It is a lot, right? But I would say, for being in there every day, I think it prepares them to go on the road and not have to deal with all the extra stuff and just lock in. And there's something about that them against the world mentality that I like better, honestly, than being home in the Garden. It almost seems like they could be there's pressure playing here, man. Like, you got streets getting named after you after two regular two series wins. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot when it comes to playing here in the Garden. And granted, they have Rosen City occasion on more than one occasion, but I do think there's something to this Knicks on the road that truly separates them from the rest of contenders. I think they're the most dangerous road team left in this conference playoff. So them against anybody, I like my money on them, especially with JB with the ball.
All right, well, enough about the Knicks, because I'm still hating at the fact that I got the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Well, JB's a Chicago guy. Y'all should love him. That's y'all should claim him a little bit.
He's
a little bit Chicago.
I got a rule.
Lincolnshire.
Yeah, we asked what high school you went to. Like, it's a gang. Like, if you didn't go to Chicago public school, like, we give B-Wade a pass because he grew up on the South Side. He just went to the suburb school. It's a little further away from the city.
He went to Stevenson. The fact that the name of the city you from is Lincolnshire tells you enough, all right?
Yeah.
Lincolnshire sounds like money.
Ain't nobody out there yelling loose squares.
I'll tell you this. All right, so I'm gonna ask you, Chicago folks. This is kind of blasphemous. But Jalen Brunson wins an NBA title this year. Does he get a statue in Chicago before D Rose?
No, but we claim him.
Not.
Hell no, but we're claiming him.
Will be some
we're claiming him.
Yeah. Look, we played Kevin Garnett, and he played here for 1 year.
He did.
Well, Kevin Garnett claims us. He thanked Travelers in his Hall of Fame speech. I've never heard of anybody thanking a gang in their speech. If nobody knew it, my bad. But
Catch I'm Not Gonna Hold You, hosted by Scott Lewis, every Monday and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, only on HNB Media and the Barbershop Network.